I'm live? Okay. Alright. So, about to start the countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so this is AxlThunder. Some of you may notice that this looks a little different than than what you might be used to seeing when it comes to AxlThunder. This is the PlayStation version, the original PlayStation version. And the reasons I'm running on that version I will be describing later, but for now we have Thunder Park. This is a circuit track, 3 laps, and the track is done. Pretty much what I'm doing is that, oh, well, there's some stuff. Pretty much what I'm doing is that all the boosts that I'm collecting, this boat in particular has really good is able to conserve it really well. So it's pretty much the definitive boat for pretty much everything in this game. And pretty much what I'm also doing is that I'm staying in the air whenever applicable, because your speed cap is way higher in the air than it is on the ground. So you can gain a lot of speed in the air. Another thing about the circuit tracks in this game is that you can only collect every boost once. Once you collect it a single time, you can't get it again. So in every circuit track you have to pick your boosts carefully so you don't collect too much, and unfortunately I've been making a few mistakes in collecting too much. But as long as the mistake isn't too major, it is possible to recover. Just like now, I have enough boost for the rest of the track, even though I collected too much. This track is pretty lenient. So yeah, there's the first track. The next track is Lost Island, where we'll be seeing the first applications of some more tricks this game has to offer, which will be explained when I get to them. Okay, so when it comes to boosting in the air, there are some interesting properties that can happen when you make a sharp turn in the air. And this is the first track where I will be showing this. Using the ramp, and also hydro jumping a lot, and also jumping a lot can also really help to conserve your boost. But this is the first application of air control, where when the boat is in the air, turning very sharply under certain circumstances will allow it to curve around turns, while maintaining almost all, if not all, of the momentum you previously. This can shave off a lot of time in certain situations. Also, we have another application coming up just up ahead. It works best when the front of the boat is facing slightly upwards, like it was. So, and also, that is a fast thing indeed. This is also a really good Lost Island, I really have to say. This is going really well. Oh my goodness! That is 0.4 seconds behind a time behind the ILPV just a few months ago. So that was a really good Lost Island. But there's more. There's more stuff that can be done in this game, and that will be shown in this track, Arctic Circle. I apologize if the commentary is a bit rocky. I kind of forgot to practice it, so whoopsie. So in Arctic Circle, you know that one ramp in the first in Lost World, and those couple of ramps we went on in Lost World that gave us speed? Well, there's that kind of exists in places in some cases. Like I just did there. Now there's a ramp that has the level jump, but the collision behind it also has it. Also, risky. Oh well. Because I was actually going norm that I was supposed to, so yeah, I noticed I started dropping some frames. Unfortunately, there's nothing I can do about it. So unfortunately, this Arctic Circle isn't going super well. Just kind of going at 200 miles per hour instead of 300 like we could be. So yeah, okay, so reference. Arctic Circle is like an incredibly punishing track because if you mess something like that up, like the middle step, you could lose a ton of time, and that pretty much displays how much time you could lose by messing something up in this game. Now it is always such a major time loss, but for reference, I normally should be getting under a minute and 30 seconds, but because that section didn't exactly go so well, that happened. Choose your track. Greek Isles. Okay, so Greek Isles we are going to be using in this next track. Greek Isles we are going to be using the if everything goes right, we should be going pretty reasonably fast if everything goes right. So let's go ahead and let's get right into it. Okay, so other than what I just mentioned, this track doesn't really have much to talk about. There's a slight air control thingy here, and also this here. Yeah, there's some air control here. There's a lot more air control if you are doing the fastest strats in this track, but those are incredibly risky and incredibly difficult. So I'm not doing those here. And here's where hopefully we'll be gaining a ton of speed. I'm gonna take all the speed that I gained from that and maintain it for way longer than we're originally intended to. Also, yes, that isn't solid. But you can't go out of bounds. Trust me, I tried. Oh well. I tried, but but yeah, the speed would end right about here, normally. Oh, what? Whoop. Okay. That worked. That certainly worked. I'm not used to hitting that ship like that. Choose your track. And this next track, Lake Powell, is more about taking sharp turns as fast as possible, because this track has a lot of 180 full 180 turns. So that's pretty much the main thing with this track here. Pretty much just do well with cornering and you're going to get fast time on this track. Other than that, there isn't a whole lot to talk about. So I guess now I can explain a little bit more about the usage of the PS1 version and whatnot. Okay, so pretty much, yeah. Okay, so pretty much the reason why I'm using this version over, say, like the Dreamcast version or the original PC release is that this version of the game has various differences with the physics and the controls that make it the fastest version of the game, bar none. This keeping your speed up to maximum is a lot easier. The jumps that I'm doing here are normally a lot more complicated to do, but in this particular version, they are easy as pie, pretty much. So that's it. That's that. There's also an exclusive trick in this version, which I will be doing very soon in the Far East, which is the next track. And in the Far East, if everything goes well in the Far East, we'll be seeing more speed. Yes, yes, more speed. I like speed. I like speed. The fast kind, not the other kind. Okay. So right off the bat, there's a trick here that is actually rather precise. I'll try to. Yes. Okay, so basically that is a launch. There's a ramp properties there, so that can be taken advantage of. But where does it take advantage of more level geometry that launches you forward a bit later? Not long now. Not very long at all. In fact, it's coming up after this straight. Okay, so I'm going to do this in a very specific way. Oh no. Oh no, it wasn't as fast as I wanted it to be. Because if it were like as fast as I wanted it to be, then it would have been like I would have gone like much higher in the air, and I would have been at like double the speed. But unfortunately, I didn't get it at the way I wanted it to. Now it's just, you know, staying above the water into the finish line. So now we're into the hard difficulty tracks, which I forgot to mention, like the various difficulties of tracks. But the hard categories, Ship Graveyard and New York Disaster aren't too bad, but Ship Graveyard and Venice Canals can really display that the game's frame rate issues, because sometimes the game will chug a lot and skip a lot of frames, meaning that this game becomes incredibly difficult to play. This will especially be apparent in Venice Canals. But in Venice Canals' case, if I do things right, maybe I won't have to worry about that too much. I worry about as much of it. Maybe. I'll explain more when I get there. But for now there's Ship Graveyard, which, well, it's Ship Graveyard. It's a track. There is one particular section where if you do something right, you'll get an extra boost. If you don't, well, you won't get an extra boost. And not getting an extra boost sucks. Ah, I didn't get it. Not trying anymore. Okay, so yeah, that's I kind of I still don't quite have a consistent method of getting that yet. It's just, yeah, that happens. Oh my goodness. What is happening? Oh yeah, and the game's chugging again. And a lot is going wrong with this run so far. That's pretty unfortunate, but hey, it'll happen. Okay, so here it is, Venice Canals. Okay, so Venice Canals is already the hardest track in the other versions, but in this version of the game, it's even harder because of just how unstable the frame rate is. But I might not have to worry about that as much. More on that later. Oh, whoops. Isn't that just dandy? Speaking of dandy, we got a level with dandy in the name coming up a bit later. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of hold off on my commentary so that I can try to work with this very unstable frame rate. Whoa, okay. No! No. I want to show this off. Okay, so it's going to be even harder now. I want to show this off. And now I'm losing time. Whoa! Yeah! Got it. So, you ever wanted to, like, go out of bounds? Yeah, it's a thing. Also, I wanted to finish the track out of bounds. Okay, so basically the explanation behind that, for some reason when they were porting the game to the PS1, they just left out entire pieces of invisible walls, and there's a hole that you can fit a boat through, and you can just easily go out of bounds. Also, fun fact, otherwise, but outside of that one trick, getting out of bounds is actually extremely difficult. I have only found 2 other out of bounds tricks, and yes, I did find that one in Venice Canals, but they are completely useless. But yeah, that's pretty much. From here, there isn't really much to talk about until we get to the very last track of the run. So, have some hopping boats for a little bit, I guess. If you like boats that hop and kind of go fast sometimes, then this is a game that contains this. They say that. but yet I just knocked them out of the track. So yeah, a bit of airtime there. Also, we just hit something. Wait, no. Oh. Okay. That was fine. That was perfectly fine. Also, that best time there, that's not my actual personal best. Okay, so out of the hard tracks and into the bonus tracks, which there are 3 circuits and then 1 final sprint, which is Nile Adventure. Nile Adventure is the longest track in the game, and yeah, it also has some tricky thingies. But for now, we have Hydra Speedway, and however, there is one thing that differentiates Hydra Speedway from the other circuit, from all the other tracks, as it has the shortest supply of boost out of any other track in the game. So, if you want to get a really fast time on the stage, you better watch how much boost you're using, because otherwise you're gonna run out. And if you run out of boost, you're gonna lose a lot of time. However, if you really know what you're doing, you'll be able to get through this perfectly fine. It's kind of only really an individual level speed run where you would really have to worry about it. Otherwise, you kind of just don't make a major mistake and you'll be fine. So now this full tank of boost I have, this is all I have for the rest of the track. So I'm just conserving it as much as I can. Though you kind of do have to use a pretty decent bit of boost in turns, in sharp turns. It's like one particular aspect of the speed run is watching your speedometer and only really using the boost when it drops below the speed you want to be at. Also, hello Rad Hazard. That boat that I just hit there was actually the second fastest boat in this game. Choose your experts only. Notice how you didn't really hear the announcer saying Castle Von Danny. If you did, it was kind of hard to hear. Here's a little fun fact. I believe that is actually the audio clip without any of the filters. The proper version they were supposed the proper version of the audio clip that was supposed to play is actually in the game data, but it's not used. Yeah, there's a lot. You may have noticed this by now, but like, there's a lot of very strange oddities with this particular version. So like, there's all this weirdness and oddities on top of being the fastest version of the game. So there's that. This is another track where in an individual level context, you do have to watch how much boost you're using. But yet again. Also, there's something I forgot to notice. There's boosts that are hidden. Boosts that you wouldn't normally see. I've grabbed quite a few of these, but completely forgot to explain that, yeah, they are a thing that exists. Also, use too much boost. But regardless, it's still really close to my best time. Now, my best time isn't particularly amazing, but yeah, I very well could have gotten a best time.
Choose your tracks only. Choose your
Okay, so the next track is Catacomb, which honestly feels like a track that they threw together really, really quickly. Because in the versions that contain this track, because this isn't in the original arcade version, if you boost constantly with a boat like this, you'll just pass all the AI boats. Also, I didn't do the boost start. Also, I forgot to explain the boost start. Okay, so the boost start is basically, while the timer is counting down, I accelerate and reverse in a specific way before the game lets you go. And if you do it if you do it in just the right way, you will get a boost off the starting line. Also, there was a bit of a Hall of Mirrors effect in the distance if you look closely enough. Yes, this game has the little Hall of Mirrors effect. Also, yes, that is a thing. More weirdness of this version. This version has plenty of the weirdness, and honestly, I love it. I love how I love how weird this version is. On top of being the easiest to control and the fastest.
time extended.
So we only have 2 more boosts left to grab, and that'll be it. I mean, there's other boosts that we can grab, but they lose time. So, and if you can help it, you ideally would want to get just enough boost so you can have throughout the entire track. All right, we got 1 track left. Nile Adventure. Yeah, Catacomb was the longest track it took to complete so far. Nile Adventure is much longer than that. So, also, Nile Adventure, there's one specific part of the track that is extremely important. If I don't get this correctly, I'm gonna lose like I'm gonna lose a lot of time. There's a chance that if I hit it, but if there's a chance that I could get screwed over, and I've gotten screwed over more often than not while doing this in marathons. Okay, so what I tried to do, oh my god. Okay, so basically what I tried to do there was that I probably shouldn't have tried to do that in like a single outside of individual tracks, because that's actually kind of precise. But basically that bird that's there's a hidden 4-second boost inside of that bird. And I just lost a lot of time. I just kind of wanted to show it, you know, but I failed to show it. It seems like that's kind of the trend of this run so far. Wanting to show off things, but kind of missing the mark. I was like, here it is. Okay, so the last time I did this at a Race Against Time, I got screwed over. Because if you hit a specific point of the first part of the ramp, you'll just clip right through and be forced back to the lower part of the track, which is way slower. This time, I actually got it. I see that there's talk, but this particular section is like if you hit the walls, you're most likely gonna bounce around like a pinball, and don't want that. Also, speed. You like speed? I like fast. I like fast boats that constantly jump. It's possible to do that a little faster though.
Time extended.
And also just stay in the air, you know. And yes, you can jump, even though that's supposed to be land. Same could be done in Hydro Speedway, but didn't exactly get to show that. Because that one is a lot easier said than done.
Time extended.
And we're in the final stretch. Oh, time! I'm sorry, I should have talked about time was coming up, but oh well. Okay, there's a lot of things that could have gone a lot better, but it's a marathon run. It's not always going to be a good thing. 3109. All right. PS2. Oh, the PS2. Okay, so the thing about the Midway Arcade Treasures 3 versions of this game, um, the Midway Arcade Treasures versions of this game make the jumping thing that you saw throughout the run nearly impossible. Or if it's not nearly impossible, it's really stupid. They made those jumps really stupid to pull off on the Midway Arcade Treasures 3 versions. Okay, so basically what they did was in the Midway Arcade Treasures 3 version, you know how you know what the arcade cabinet looks like, right? Where you just like you have that throttle on the right instead of like any conventional pedals. And in the original arcade version, you would let go of the jump, you'd let go of the boost, pull the throttle all the way back, and then hit the boost button again. They directly translated that to a controller in the Midway Arcade Treasures 3 versions. At least that's what it feels like. And because the all of the okay, so the gas and the brakes and slash reverse are digital in the Midway Arcade Treasures 3 versions. And maybe except for the Xbox version. But so yeah, that's kind of a thing there. But yeah, that was pretty fun despite all the stuff that went wrong. Uh, oh, GameCube does? Okay. I don't know a lot about versions other than like PS2 and PC versions. I don't really know much about the GameCube and Xbox versions. But in the PS2 versions, they were mapped to digital buttons. But yeah, yeah. I guess I can just go offline whenever.